Interviewing with recruiters, whether they're employed by a third-party agency like Robert Half or directly for a company, is usually the first step in applying for a new job. In this video, I am going to give you 4 solid tips to ace these necessary first steps and move on to the big show. So grab a notepad and smash that like button. This might be the most important video you've ever watched. Recruits, my friends, welcome. My name's Darren DeLuca, but you can call me the Ramblin' Recruiter. I am an author, a job coach, and career counselor, a U.S. Army veteran, and I've been a recruiter for nearly 2 decades now. My passion is helping you find the job of your dreams and make the most of your career. The first step to doing that is subscribing, and click the bell to enable notifications of new videos so you never miss another tip. At the end of this video, check out my Facebook group, link will be down below in the description. There are job coaches and resume writers and career counselors out there by the thousands, and many of them charge big bucks for the information that I give away free on my channel. All I ask is that you check out my sponsors and consider the excellent offers that they're providing. I only recommend products and services that I've used myself and that I've had a good experience with. Today's video is sponsored by Bad Credit Loans. Look, sooner or later, life is going to show up for you, and when it does, it only happens at the worst possible times. So when you're in a tight spot and your back is up against the wall and you need to come up with cash fast, Bad Credit Loans can help when others can't. They have an easy application process. You can access as much as $2,500 or even $5,000 if approved as soon as the next day. Link will be down below in the description. Give it a try if you find yourself in a situation where you need to come up with some money fast. A lot of people have very strong opinions about recruiters one way or the other. Like them, love them, or hate them, they are almost always the first step in an interview process. So my advice to you is to find a way to work with a recruiter as a partner. Now again, not all recruiters are created equal. Third-party recruiters primarily make their income when you accept and start a new position at one of their client companies. In-house recruiters don't have that kind of financial tie to whether or not you accept the role. However, they are constantly overburdened with far more requisitions than one person could fill, and they tend to be very stressed out and constantly operating at 120% of capacity. So while you may also have some strong opinions about recruiters, and I'm not going to sit here and say that all of them are undeserved, I will say a little bit of empathy goes a very long way with a recruiter, so make sure that you are flexible and accommodating when it comes to their schedule. Your time is just important, no doubt about that. But I guarantee you will win some big points if you get a phone call or an email from a recruiter asking to reschedule for 30 minutes later. That's going to go a long way, and that's my first tip: flexibility and accommodation. Some people have described the job of a recruiter as trying to manage a Google Chrome browser window with 2,999 tabs open. So a lot of times different fires break out throughout the course of the day that the recruiter has to deal with immediately. When that happens, things like phone screens, a first round telephone interview for a position, may end up taking a back seat. So the more flexible and accommodating that you can be, the better the recruiter is going to think of you. I wouldn't suggest for a moment that your time is any less valuable than a recruiter's. I will, however, suggest that hiring managers look to recruiters for input on individuals as a candidate. Were they flexible? Were they accommodating? Were they polite? Were they easy to work with? Or were they terribly difficult and really rigid? Those are not traits that are going to reflect well on you. So the more flexible and accommodating you can be, the better off your experience is going to be with that recruiter, the better they're going to think of you as they move you forward to the hiring manager. Tip number 2, treat your recruiter as a partner, not as an adversary or a roadblock to getting where you want to be. The bottom line is, if you have very specialized niche knowledge that a recruiter isn't necessarily going to be an expert on, you may feel like spending your time speaking to a recruiter over the phone is a waste of time. Don't take this attitude about it. Regardless of whether your specific knowledge of C# programming or clinical development is more advanced than a recruiter's knowledge of it is, there are still very important pieces of information that you can gain from them as it relates to company culture, as it relates to compensation, benefits, company holidays, and anything else that you might want to know. And I promise you one thing, if you go into a first round phone call with a recruiter thinking this is a waste of my time and I shouldn't have to bother with this, I should go straight to the hiring manager, that type of attitude is not going to reflect well on you going forward. Recruiters are often asked to be jacks of all trades. They may only be masters of recruiting, but they have to know a little bit about a lot of different job functions. And a lot of times they're learning as they go from you, the candidates. So take the time to speak with the recruiter, answer their questions, even if they seem elementary. That is going to reflect well on you when they report back to the hiring manager on your status as a candidate. If you treat it like it was a complete waste of your time, I promise you one thing. You may still have an opportunity to interview with that hiring manager, but they're already going to have some opinion. Tip number 3, be honest and transparent about what your minimum expectations are in order to accept a new position. HR partners are looking to recruiters, hiring managers are looking to recruiters to provide input on what a compensation package should be. So the more honest and upfront you are with the recruiter about your base salary, bonus target, equity, other types of compensation, title, when you can start the job, anything that you can think of, the more transparent you can be about that, the more likely you are to receive what you're looking for in an offer. If you decide to take the path of not sharing any of your compensation information with a recruiter, I'm not going to sit here and tell you if that's right or wrong. All I'm going to tell you is at some point in the process, if you receive an offer for this position, that's going to come back and haunt you, because the recruiter will be taking a complete stab in the dark when it comes to putting together a good offer package for you and recommending that to the hiring manager and HR partner. You're going to find yourself in a situation of doing a lot of back and forth, and sooner or later that becomes an untenable situation. So be upfront, be honest, and be transparent. Tip number 4, follow up, but be reasonable. This comes directly from a question that was asked to me from one of my subscribers. Tushar, this one's for you. When is it appropriate to follow up with a recruiter? It is appropriate to follow up with a recruiter as often as you need to without crossing that fine line between diligent follow-up and stalker. Talk to any sales rep out there. Ask them how important is follow-up. They'll tell you it's critical. Most people don't even take action after the first contact. They need 2, 3, 4, 5 contacts before they'll even consider taking action. So it's perfectly okay to follow up with a recruiter, but you have to understand a day in the life of a recruiter is usually chasing down information from people who are not easy to contact or aren't returning phone calls and emails. So if a recruiter tells you, I'm sorry, I don't know anything yet, accept that, move on, follow up with them again a few days to a week later. Now, if an unusual amount of time has gone by and you are just not hearing back, there is a chance that you are dealing with somebody who just hasn't prioritized delivering deselection messages. What I mean by that is if you've been rejected, you're no longer a candidate for this position, that's not an easy message to deliver, and a lot of recruiters do struggle with it. So rather than struggle with it, they just avoid it. That's wrong. Candidates deserve to know if they are no longer in consideration. So I do fault recruiters who don't make the time and have the guts to make that uncomfortable phone call and say, hey, sorry, Mr. and Ms. Candidate, but you're no longer in consideration. That being said, I do have a lot of empathy for recruiters who are trying their darndest to get the information they need from hiring managers and aren't hearing back. Keep in mind, a big company like Global Fortune 500 with operations all over the United States and in many other countries across the world, you may not be in the same building as that hiring manager. You may very well be relying on phone and email to get messages back from them. If they're not responsive, it becomes very difficult to handle the candidate requests for information. but I have no tolerance for recruiters who just don't have the guts to say no. Bonus tip for you, recruiters love referrals. The nicest thing you can say to a recruiter, especially if they work for a third-party agency, is to refer them to somebody whose experience is very similar to yours. You'll find that if you give them a couple of referrals, they will be career counselors to you for life and only show you the very best opportunities that come across their desk. If you happen to be working with an in-house recruiter, somebody who works directly for a company, ask them, what kind of candidates are you looking for? What kind of jobs are you trying to fill? I may know some people who would be good to talk to you. So like I said before, a lot of people have a very strong opinion of recruiters, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them indifferent. I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below. What was the best and or worst experience you ever had working with a recruiter, and what could be done to either make it better, or if it was a terrific experience, what would you like to see replicated again and again? Leave me a comment below. If we build up enough of these comments, we could start a whole recruiter training guide right here in the comments section.